To be honest, it is very difficult to describe the first day of the war. Only the events of that day caused such a moral trauma that will remain with us forever. On that day, February 24, 2022, I woke up quite early, around 5:30 in the morning. I didn't wake up because I heard the explosions that happened in our city and near it. At that time, my brain was not yet aware of such a threat, so I could easily mistake them for a thunder. Most likely, I woke up due to the noise of the neighbors, who, as I later understood, were running and collecting things, because they learned about the beginning of the war earlier than me. I found out about it a few seconds after, when I read my nephew's message that the war had begun an hour ago. After that, I immediately began to look at the information in various groups of social media to understand where exactly the warfare began. This was not only an escalation in Donbass, but massive offensive began in Donetsk and Luhansk regions as well. After only a few minutes, I realized that fighting was going on almost everywhere. Missile or airstrikes were carried out on most large cities. Russian tank columns entered the Kiev region from the north, from the territory of Belarus. They began a massive bombardment of Kharkiv, a peaceful city of 1 million people. Russian troops crossed the dividing line between the occupied Crimea and the Kherson region. Enemy troops entered the Sumy and Chernihiv regions. They also made an amphibious landing on the coast of the Zaporizhia region. Being shocked with the news, I woke up my wife and told her that the war had begun. And after we went through all the stage of accepting the new reality, we started to act. We called our relatives, but realized that almost none of them still couldn't believe that the war had started, and continued to live their ordinary lives. Some of them even went to work, and nobody did not want to make any decisions about evacuation. But something had to be done, so I rushed to the garage, took the car, and loaded it with pre-bought gasoline and food. On the way home, I decided to stop at a gas station, because the gas tank of the car was half empty. There was already a large queue, so I was able to watch the latest news. It was only a few hours of invasion, but I saw a huge number of photos and videos of the shelling, and its consequences happened everywhere. It was terrible. At the gas station, I found out that the fuel limit in 20 liters was set per car, and only cash was accepted. Payments with credit cards did not go through because of cyber attacks on Ukrainian banking system. So my cash came in handy. And to be honest, no any productive activities we did that day. We watched the news, tried to persuade our relatives to go, and looked for places where we could be at least relatively safe. We witnessed that the huge Russian troops are marching towards Zaporizhia almost non-stoppable. Not because the Ukrainian military did not resist them, but because there were simply a huge number of Russians. They had a lot of planes and helicopters, which caused heavy losses to our military, because Ukraine did not have enough of its own aviation and air defense equipment. At the same time, we tried to explain to our relatives to think of evacuation with us. They said it couldn't be a war and that it all would be over soon, so they didn't want to do anything. I understand them perfectly, as it's impossible to realize that what you see in the news is real. In addition, our plan to go abroad quickly became unreal. All the roads were full of traffic jams in the direction to the borders with European countries. By the middle of the day, the martial law was introduced in the country, forbidding almost all men to travel abroad. Even though I never served in the army due to my health, I was still not allowed to leave the country during the martial law, so I needed to quickly find new ways for saving my family. And security had to be not only physical but also moral. I will never forget the panic attack my wife had during the first alert of air attack that screamed horrible. Looking at how her legs was shaking while we were sitting in the corridor and how the cat was hiding under the sofa, I realized that it was necessary to take them to a safe place. I don't even remember all the events of the first day of the war, because it was in complete chaos. The memories still can't get together to remember and organize everything that happened then. It was a very long and scary day.